So this kickstart definitely isn't standard. It looks like a heavily modified, maybe Japanese kickstart. Anyway, it's been machined. It obviously used to have splines in it, but it's had those machined out. And I assume that the cotter has been drilled out as well. Maybe there's a pinch bolt there to start with. Could have been. This could have been welded up. Not sure. Anyway, it's loose is the problem. So I've got a new cotter pin. The problem is that the hole is burred over on the inside, I think. The cotter pin won't fit through either side. So rather than just file it, which would be the obvious thing to do, I guess, I thought it'd better use a proper reamer. So I've got an adjustable reamer, and I'm hoping that will just clean up the hole. I think it's really important that this is the right fit in here, and that it slides as it should. Otherwise, it's not going to catch on the flat on the spindle properly, and it just becomes an issue. I think it's from past experience. It's really important to make sure that these are sliding properly, and there's nothing else hanging them up, so that they work in the way that they're intended to. Anyway, so yeah, let's get this reamed out. I'm starting to see why this reamer is cheap. It's got a lot of swarf in it. I think this was of Indian origin, but as I say, it was only a couple of quid, so I'm not complaining too much. Right. And this tap is really bad. This end is obviously very soft, and it's picking up on the end of the blades. So it's gouging into the blades, and the blades won't slide along the slots properly. So I'm just trying to clear out the swarf and clean the blades themselves. So these go up this way. Oh, that can't be right. They must go that way. That's better. So they slide up these ramps. At least they're supposed to. So it expands by moving along this way. So that one's not too bad. Let's clean up the rest. Even this thread is pretty dodgy. Bit of oil. Okay, so I've opened that up progressively, and this cotter pin is now a good sliding fit all the way through. Almost. Actually, that isn't quite. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think that's okay. It's nice and snug, but it is sliding properly. So I think that'll do. So not impressed by this reamer, but still, so it was only about $3.99 or something. So yeah, I guess you get what you pay for, and it's done the job. I wouldn't think it'll last much longer, but it's only done this job, which is good. That's the other issue with this kickstart, is that it's hitting the casing here next to the clutch lever. So once it's in the retracted position, which is there, this part here catches the casing, so basically it's this piece. So I'm thinking I'll just grind a bit off there, just to relieve it slightly. Okay, a bit more off. Apart from anything else, it's a rounder contour rather than a sharp edge, so I shouldn't dig in so much. But also there's less metal there, so how does this go? Goes like that, doesn't it? Okay, that's better. That's not touching now. Yeah, that's better. Right, liquor paint's on there, and I can reassemble it. Right, so I've painted the kickstart now, especially where I ground a bit away to stop it from damaging this part of the casing. See whether this fits. Yeah, so that cotter pin is now free, having reamed out that hole. So it's quite snug, but goes all the way through smoothly. Right, so I think, just make sure this is clean. This flat doesn't look too bad, it's got a slight burr on the rear side. But it's pretty flat. So I think this is going to be okay. What's worrying me slightly is that there's not much gap between the end of the thread and the start of the pin itself. So this wash is going to butt up against the shoulder of the cotter pin. Check that. Yeah, it is. Oh, that's annoying. So yeah, this shoulder of the cotter pin is actually above the level of the kickstart itself. So I'll put a nut on it. It's not going to drag the pin up. The nut is just going to tighten against that shoulder. Annoying. I suppose one thing could be to put a shim on the face of the cotter pin on the flat. Or extend the thread down a bit. That's easier said than done. I mean, dead easy if you had a lathe, but I don't have a lathe. I need to think about this, I think. Yeah, shame. That would explain why this was loose, maybe. Oh yeah, I mean, that comes right up there. That's ridiculous. You'll probably see that on the camera. The pin is right up. The pin is extending way out here. So putting the nut on there is not going to tighten the pin at all. In fact, it's come out so far, I'm thinking that perhaps a shim might be the best way to do it. So yeah, I mean, if I could put a shim on this surface, it would stop it from coming in so far. Otherwise, that's a lot easier said than done. So the alternative is to bring this back and machine this shoulder back But it needs to come quite a long way. It needs to be down here somewhere. Frustrating. I'm just wondering if putting the pin in the other way around might work. It's only starting to go nice and firm. On the underside, here there's just thread coming out this side. So I could put a nut on the bottom and potentially just pull that pin in. It would look neater as well, wouldn't it? I think the problem with that is that the surface on the other side is nowhere near flat. Yes, if I come in this side, it looks as if that'll work. The trouble is, if I do that, then the nut is trying to bear down on this angled surface, which isn't going to work. I could maybe make a short spacer tube that had an angle on the bottom and a flat top, like a sort of wedge-shaped washer in effect. That might work. Yeah, that might be. That's not ideal. If it's going to interfere with the with this thing turning, isn't it? The folding action will be inhibited. Frustrating. So this is the way it should go, as it were. So that's no problem at all in terms of this sloping surface. But I say it's just coming through too far on this side. It's coming way up here. I guess I could make a spacer on this side. That might work. There's not much room, but if I could find a piece of tube, that might just do it. Only needs to be 1/4 of an inch long, 5mm, 6mm. That would work. Let me see what I've got. Well, just looking in my little box of spacers, just odds and ends, I found this, which looks familiar. I can't think where that came from, but it's quite a thick steel tube. I think this is off the Daimler somewhere. I can't remember. Anyway, looks as if that is quite a good fit in there. If I were to cut, say, well, say 10mm for a start, I can always reduce it down to about 6. But if that were to fit on there, that would give me enough space to let this poke through. That stays there. You could pull that up. The downside is that this, oops. Yeah, the downside is that this hole is too small for this to fit through. But it's not far off. If I could find a 3/8 drill and run it down here, I think there'll be enough wall thickness left to make that work. I'm going to give it a try. So this is 8.5 mil. Yeah, and that's pretty snug. So if that's snug at 8.5, so I'm taking out 0.5 mil on each side, millimetre in total. Okay, so I can use the reamer just to sneak that open a bit more. Bring it up to 952 mil rather than 9.5. Be careful not to break this. Famous last word. Lubrication. Right, that's plenty. So I only need 10 mil at the most. And the wall is still quite thick. And this will definitely fit in now. Good. So with this in here, I can put this pin in and get it in. There we go, from the other side. So the pin will come through, so it pulls right through up to here somewhere. But now, a short length of this on the end, that can fit on there, and the pin can pull up inside the tube. That is hot. So, I can go back in this spacer's box for next time. That was very satisfying when you, or it is to me at least, keep some stuff and have it turn out to be useful in the end. Doesn't say happen that often. Okay, so nice little steel spacer, chamfer on this side, and 9mm overall length. The bore is reamed out to 3/8, just over 3/8, so it's a nice clearance on there, but it still fits inside here. So just try it on the bike. So this, I don't know if you can see that, but so this cotter pin is already pulled out, what, 3mm. So this spacer already fits over the cotter pin, so that's good. Washer. So I do believe this is going to work. I don't want to do this up too tight because it's sort of counterproductive, because this cotter pin isn't very strong and the threads aren't very strong. So, so it should be the taper wedge that's doing the work, not the thread. Yeah, I think that's plenty. Okay, that's good. That's not hitting the case anymore. That sharp edge is gone, which was digging into there. So yeah, it's a bit long, I suppose, but at least I think it's going to work now. Let's stop this flopping about. It's rigidly on the shaft now. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. So with that and the magnet on there, and that should make starting it that much more positive. Okay, thanks for watching.